Hi, writers. So, we are continuing on our journey in writing our fairy tales. Many of you may have even finished writing your first fairy tale. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to learn ways to make our fairy tale even stronger. We're going to learn ways to make our fairy tales more like how the expert authors do. Yesterday, we were making sure that our fairy tales had a problem and a solution. So for today, we are stepping into what we call craft moves. Craft moves are the things that authors do to make their writing even better. So once they have the basics, once they have their characters, the setting, the problem, the solution, the beginning, the middle, the end, then they can start adding their craft moves. So, one craft move that fairy tale authors use that I want to introduce to you is they use certain language, they use certain words. As we read fairy tales, we notice the same type of words being used throughout different books, no matter who it is that wrote it. So, as authors ourselves who are writing our own fractured fairy tales, we want to try and use some of this language as well. So, what I have here is some of the language that I've noticed in many of the books that we have read. I have actually posted this right onto our webpage so that when you're writing, you can come back to this and you can find ways to use some of this in your writing. So, as you look at this list, of course, we have the beginning one, Once Upon a Time. Many, many fairy tales begin with Once Upon a Time. Another way is if the character is the one telling the story, which I don't know that many of you went about that way. That's a little bit of a step up move, but we could say once upon a time, or so they tell me. It's as if you are retelling a story that somebody else told you. So most of us are probably just going to stick with the once upon a time. You also could use a long time ago or not so long ago. There's different ways other than once upon a time to begin a fairy tale. We might see language like, but then one day. So that would probably happen a few pages in when something changes in our story. But then one day, this happened. Okay. A lot of fairy tales, we see the word meanwhile, which means something else is going on. So Little Red Riding Hood was collecting flowers in the forest. Meanwhile, the wolf was finding his way to Granny's house. Okay. The Three Little Pigs. The Three Little Pigs were all in their houses busy making dinner. Meanwhile, the wolf was walking up to the first pig's house. We can see words like no sooner. The Three Little Pigs were all settled in their homes. No sooner did the wolf smell the Three Little Pigs, meaning that it happened really quickly. In a few moments is another one that we see in fairy tales, also showing that something is happening rather quickly. And then we have from then on, which is a lot of times at the end of the story, or we see that happily ever after. So I want for you to think about how when we were writing our personal narratives and our realistic fiction narratives, that we use time order words. These are very similar to those time order words, but they're specific to fairy tales. We could use them in our own narratives and our own stories, but we see them over and over again in fairy tales. So I'm going to show you a few examples, and then I'm going to ask for you to give it a try in your writing today. I want for you to even maybe go back into your writing and see if there's anywhere where you could use any of this fairy tale language. And if you're still in the process of writing your fairy tale, let's see if we can include some of this in the rest of the writing that we have to do. So this is from Little Red Riding Hood, a long time ago. So a long time ago in a simple cottage. So this is introducing the story. It's telling you where she lives. It's introducing the character. It's introducing the setting. This is where we would see the once upon a time, a long time ago, not so long ago. However you want to begin your story, you are the author. But this is how this author decided to start their story. These are two completely different books by two completely different authors, yet they both use that word meanwhile. Meanwhile, deep inside Happily Never After prison, the very angry big bad wolf was hungrily plotting his revenge in his cold and dreary cell. And then we have, meanwhile, Percy had reached Pete's cabin one step ahead of the wolf. Let me in or I'll trash this woodpile, roared Tempesto. So both books, even though they actually are both stories of the Three Little Pigs, completely different authors, they use that word meanwhile. And I wanted to show you how authors do that. Then we have, oh, knew I skipped one, in a few moments, meaning that it happens very quickly. In a few moments, the wolf was battering the door. So this is how an author can use those words, in a few moments. And then at the end of this book, I hate to give it away since we didn't finish reading it yet, but we have from then on. So if you have your characters some way getting along, or if you have your character who has learned a lesson, which we're going to talk about too this week, you can use the words from then on. Right? From then on, the Three Little Pigs knew they had to do a better job at building stronger homes. From then on, Little Red Riding Hood knew never to talk to strangers. From then on, Betsy and Zimmo herded together. So that's a way for you to end your fairy tale. Some of you might actually be at the end and kind of stuck and not sure how to end it. Here is one way. So, writers, authors, use this to help you today and every day. When you are writing fairy tales, when you want to show that time is going by, when you want to make your writing stronger, when you want to use the craft moves of experts. This is how you can add fairy tale language to your fairy tales. Cannot wait to see the work that you have been doing. Happy writing!